choosing the right asset protection plan key considerations for your financial security. A group of tactics known as asset protection are designed to keep assets protected from creditors' claims. Both people and companies use it to shield their goods from being seized by the government. The purpose of asset protection is to lessen the possibility of monetary loss due to court rulings. Debtor-creditor law is another term for asset protection. Operating as a corporation offers liability protection, but it is not the only benefit. Although it is crucial, business liability insurance only shields individual assets in the event that the company is sued. Protecting your assets in the event that you are sued personally is just as crucial as shielding yourself from a company lawsuit. Additionally, you should understand how to safeguard the company's own assets. Many people are operating under the misconception that only the very wealthy or their companies truly require asset protection. It is true that the necessity to preserve property increases with one's possessions, yet asset protection has advantages for a wide range of users. If you can identify with any of the following situations, you should think about implementing an asset protection plan. Who requires it? As you can see, asset protection plans are beneficial for almost everyone. You probably put a lot of effort into earning what you own. To having everything taken away by some unfortunate event would be depressing. It would not only be disastrous but also quite embarrassing. The first step in developing a successful asset protection strategy for yourself or your companies is to accurately evaluate the risks you are currently taking. Asset protection has a wide range of aspects. Some occur more frequently than others. Some incredibly wealthy people have highly intricate plans in place to safeguard their assets and money for future generations. It's critical to consider every possible danger situation when safeguarding your assets. Almost everyone uses a few distinct facets of asset protection in one way or another. Insurance is the most typical. Most likely, those who are unfamiliar with asset protection are unaware that they already have some kind of protection. Consider liability insurance, which is a type of asset protection that practically all businesses need to have. Every business is obliged by law to carry a minimum amount of insurance, which varies according on the industry the business is in. Usually, the minimum amount is insufficient to adequately cover a person. Generally speaking, it is advised to get extra coverage in addition to the bare minimum. You can get assistance from an asset protection specialist in figuring out how much insurance is necessary for your company. 75% of American firms are underinsured, according to the Insurance Journal. They are experts who assess the asset profile and business model to ascertain the precise level of coverage required. This guarantees that an organization obtains the appropriate level of coverage without paying excessive premiums. A qualified asset protection expert can help you choose insurance coverage for your new business while saving you a significant amount of time and money. For many people, having insurance is just the beginning of feeling secure. Everyone needs insurance as a crucial means of protecting their assets. There are additional crucial facets of asset protection that each and every company needs to think about. A business runs the risk of facing legal action, no matter what sector it works in. According to ASFAP estimates, there is a new lawsuit filed in the US every 30 seconds, which is astonishing by anyone's standards. These legal actions are frequently harmless for big companies with strong legal teams. If a smaller company isn't adequately covered and ready for a lawsuit, it might ruin them. Any person or company should make sure their assets are arranged such that a lawsuit won't cause them to be lost. In the event of any of these frequent reasons of lawsuit, you should be positive that your asset protection plan is put up to safeguard your personal assets rather than scare you. The purpose of listing all of these situations is to highlight the importance of being ready for everything. Being overinsured is far preferable to being underinsured. Make sure you think through every scenario that could affect your company before deciding to buy insurance for it. Therefore, make sure to look everywhere for information when attempting to calculate the necessary level of protection. This is yet another argument in favor of hiring a consultant to assist you in selecting the appropriate asset protection coverage. They will create the ideal asset protection plan for your company because of their external viewpoint on your operations, which enables them to comprehend the extent of the hazards you are incurring. Of course, running a firm is linked to the majority of these risk management techniques. Protecting individual possessions is equally vital. As a matter of fact, many asset protection plans are made to shield individual assets from litigation or other disputes brought up against their company. Naturally, not everyone runs their own company. They still have to keep their hard-earned possessions safe. People are mainly going to want to use this when they approach retirement age. This is when most people think about protecting their personal property as an asset. This makes logical, as they might not have accumulated enough wealth in their early years to warrant safeguarding it. Saving what you have becomes even more crucial after you cease receiving money. When it comes to safeguarding their assets in retirement, people typically choose two strategies: powers of attorney and trusts. The most common method of self-protection for anyone, especially retirees, is a trust. Establishing a trust essentially grants an outsider the authority to handle an individual's possessions. Typically, the trustee oversees the trust. They are then charged with the duty of leaving the property to the person's supporters. A wonderful way to shield your financial portfolio from creditors is with an asset protection trust. It's critical to realize that creating a trust gives the trustee complete control over your assets and money. Because a trust lowers the heir's tax burden, many people use it. This is dependent upon the type of trust, and there are numerous varieties. Retirees benefit from trusts as well, since they safeguard their assets and maintain their eligibility for Medicare and Medicaid. As individuals get older, this lessens the financial burden of their medical treatment. As one matures, the cost of living might increase dramatically. Saving as much money as you can is crucial if you want to be able to maintain yourself long after your income stops, particularly if you have to move into an assisted living or retirement home. A trust and a power of attorney are comparable. The distinction is that, in the event that you become incapable of making decisions for yourself or your possessions, it grants one person the legal authority to act on your behalf. In this situation, power of attorney rights are typically awarded to a close relative. When the person is unable to make decisions for themselves, they will handle all matters pertaining to their assets. For those who are too old to make wise decisions for themselves, this is an excellent idea. These are a few of the more fundamental elements of asset defense. Everyone has to have adequate insurance. The most crucial time in your life to protect your assets is during retirement. These are some general guidelines that you ought to adhere to. This is only a summary of the various aspects of asset protection. It is advisable to work with an asset protection professional if you are thinking about creating a strategy. A common misconception is that all you need to establish a good plan is an accountant or lawyer. This is untrue. Some parts of it are only understandable to someone who is committed to asset protection. In actuality, the APEPS claims that law schools typically do not teach it. In case you have doubts about your advisor's expertise, research the topic and ask them about it to find out what they know. You want to make sure you are working with an experienced specialist, because protecting the wealth and property you have worked so hard for your whole life is important. Both the sustainability of your firm and your retirement years may be at risk if you don't have enough asset protection. You can obtain several facets of this protection for yourself. An advisor is someone you should hire to create a procedure for you. When it comes to shielding assets from your creditors and legal actions, they won't cut any corners. The process of protecting your belongings from lawsuits and attempts by creditors to collect during your lifetime and after your death is known as asset protection planning. You've spent your entire life working to amass wealth. Fortunately, excellent asset protection planning doesn't have to be expensive. Most people who have a long-term outlook are aware of the necessity of investing. They thus start studying about investing and gathering assets to include in their portfolios. The necessity to play defense in parallel then becomes apparent. Why? Primarily to shield assets from legal action. The bulk of your assets can be in jeopardy if you find out that you are the target of an ongoing lawsuit. When someone files a lawsuit against another person or their firm and wins, these poor people frequently end up losing most, if not all, of their assets because they were ill-prepared. For everyone who has them, assets are extremely valuable. They can be as basic as a bank account used to pay for food creature luxuries like TVs, automobiles and jewelry, residences or investments in real estate or the stock market that serve as a source of income in later life. When they are there, security is symbolized, and when they are not, anxiety and terror are felt. As a result, obtaining and safeguarding financial stability become crucial steps in building wealth. How about using risk management techniques to safeguard your assets? Risk management isn't always effective. You still need to be wise and knowledgeable when choosing your asset protection plan or products. Rather than spreading your money thin, many affluent people suggest concentrating it into one or two aggressive investments that you can monitor regularly. From the standpoint of investment growth, that might be a wise decision. However, it also gathers them into a neat little package that opposing counsel may wrap and take with them. You have to be accountable as an investor researching asset protection strategies. Make sure you do your homework, seek out the finest assistance you can, and plan and assemble the appropriate legal resources to make up your financial fortress. Investors still need to hold the last say. It's too important to trust amateurs with your asset security. Your broker, CPA, or lawyer may be a good fit for you, but do they have asset protection experience? Most likely not. Therefore, it is necessary to seek professional advice before acting and to invest financial resources in creating the best plan possible. You have several options for effectively protecting your valuables. Choosing a reputable specialist or asset protection-focused organization is one of the greatest places to start when creating an asset protection plan, especially if you are anxious to safeguard the security of your assets and are concerned about finding a broker on your own. When it comes time to choose an expert for your assets, do your research, visit their websites and social media accounts, give them a call, and ask questions. Now, this service is also offered by the organization that is currently producing the page that you are currently viewing. However, this article's goal is to help you, not to ask for your business. Naturally, nevertheless, it would be an honor to serve as such an organization on your behalf. But the goal of this post is to give you an objective framework from an informed, research-based standpoint so you may come to your conclusions. Finding a facility that you believe will provide you with the assistance and defense you require if a lawsuit rears its ugly head is crucial. Do your research. You can choose an organization when you've established that it not only has the expertise to help you, but also that you can trust and feel at ease with. Even though it could take some time, this phase is essential to the overall performance of your asset management protection strategy. What kinds of assets, then, can an expert safeguard using an asset protection plan? Fixed assets are the first class of assets to be safeguarded. Real estate and equipment are examples of long-term assets that you or your company may have bought and that are unlikely to be swiftly turned into cash. If you own real estate, you can register mortgages against it that are payable to a bank or a privately held business by you or your trust. AUCC1 can be recorded using tangibles like equipment and other things as security. The money can then be transferred into a Don't Touch It account within your offshore asset protection trust by foreign banks that can purchase those mortgages or other security instruments when the bad thing occurs. We refer to this as equity stripping. Current assets are the second category of assets. Cash and assets that can be quickly turned into cash, such as bonds, fixed deposits, stock, inventory, accumulated revenue, and the like, are considered current assets. Liquid assets are another name for current assets. The amount to be protected determines what should be done. A limited liability company's name can be used to open an account for lower amounts. An LLC may be owned by a husband and wife. When an LLC member is sued, several clauses protect the LLC and all it owns from being seized. The LLC may be used for mid-level protection of current assets. The strongest asset protection laws are reported to be found in the Nevis LLC. Many asset protection experts believe that the Offshore Asset Protection Trust, particularly in the Cook Islands, has the best case law history when it comes to greater amounts. Your assets could be in jeopardy if you end up in court. It is preferable to have a plan in place to safeguard your assets before you ever need it. Just as having auto insurance is preferable to buying a car outright, it is also better to be ready for potential lawsuits than to be unprepared for them. Generally speaking, the average layperson would initially seek guidance from their family lawyer or accountant when looking to protect their assets. The issue here is that most lack experience in this field. When it comes to filing tax returns or legal documents, they might be familiar with legal procedures. However, they would have a difficult time developing a strategy for asset protection. You don't need an expensive asset protection expert if you decide to hire one. Selecting an organization with a long history is a great move. By acting, you put yourself in a far more secure position to withstand unforeseen disasters. It makes it less likely that you will subject your family to the stress and misery of a courtroom battle. Speak with a specialist in that field about your worries, the assets you wish to protect, and your options if you need to know what solutions are available to defend your assets. Simply understanding what to do and then acting accordingly can help you fight back. You could be inviting a major disaster into your life if you hire someone who isn't an expert at installing defense systems. This fact holds even if you decide not to seek advice from an expert. If one of these scenarios leads to a lawsuit, you could feel as though the plaintiff is presenting you with mountains of paperwork that you are just not ready to handle. For this reason, be sure to find an expert right away. Just take care to make the best decision. You might witness a lawyer driving a fancy car that you paid for with your money if you put off taking this action for too long. Having a solid grasp of the law and skilled assistance will also be beneficial to you. Remembering that not every business is made equal is essential. One important factor is how you run your company. If your company is not incorporated, your assets may be in jeopardy if it is sued. Company organizational papers are prepared and submitted to the appropriate agency to incorporate. Resolutions, minutes of meetings, and bylaws are made and maintained. For this reason, one should make use of a business formation specialist organization. A well-established and managed corporation can create a barrier between your personal and commercial assets. Go through the other pages on this website to learn what resources are available to protect your assets. There are websites like this one that kindly give you the best advice on protecting your money. Remember that state-by-state variations exist in asset protection regulations, such as those about homestead protection, the amount of equity that can be preserved in a person's primary dwelling. You're buying the Swiss Army knife of legal tools. Forming an LLC has several benefits. First, by building a lawsuit shield, you are creating a wall between your company and itself if it gets sued. Second, you are purchasing a safe that will prevent those suing you personally from stealing your company and all of its assets. Third, a tool for estate planning is yours. You and your partner may own, let's say, 2%, 2%, 2%, and be the manager S, which would give you complete control. The remainder may be owned by your offspring, who will only participate passively and have no say over how the company is run. There is little to no estate tax when you pass away, because the kids already own the majority of the company. Poof. You can accurately divide and transfer ownership and control with an operating agreement that is correctly drafted, giving you one of the most effective estate planning instruments available. This final aspect can help you to genuinely feel at ease with the way your estate plan will be administered. Thus, when working with a corporation, make sure you choose one that gives you confidence. You are looking for a reputable organization that has been around for a while. Consider forming an international LLC, such as an LLC in Nevis, where the laws are more protective than those in the US. The LLC ordinance was created by the Nevis legislature in 1995 and revised in 2015 to strengthen its provisions for asset protection. Nevis offers limited liability businesses with one member the same safeguards as those with several members. This is not like most states in the US. Even in cases where an LLC has just one owner, Nevis law restricts a creditor's remedy to a charging order to challenge a debtor's ownership stake. In other words, neither the LLC nor its assets may be taken by someone who has a judgment against the owner of a Nevis LLC. Theoretically, the owner of the portion of the LLC with the charging order would get distributions from the company that would go to the one with the charging order. Regardless of whether they receive the earnings or not, the person in possession of the charging order must pay taxes on the member's share of the company's income, even if a US party receives one Rev. Rule 77 to 137. Regardless of whether the gains are given to the person who is entitled to receive them or not, that person is responsible for paying the tax liability. Again, even if you choose not to give them any dividends from the business, the person who won the judgment against you would now be liable for paying the tax bill for your Nevis LLC. In Nevis, liens resulting from charging orders expire after 3 years and are not renewable. So you have a few choices when you create an LLC correctly. First, you can make use of several robust asset protection regulations that are in effect. Flexibility about LLC ownership and control is another. In other words, you can manage the entire business while owning a tiny portion of it. Tax flexibility is provided by the ability to tax it as a partnership, sole proprietorship, C corporation using the 8832 tax form, or S corporation using the 8832 tax form, in addition to the 2553 form. Additionally, it aids in financial planning for your family both now and after your passing. Its existence assists in removing many of the drawbacks of both corporations and partnerships while combining some of their positives. Even while an LLC might have many benefits, an asset protection trust is a more effective way to keep cash safe from greedy attorneys. This is particularly true if the trustee is not within the court's travel radius. Certain jurisdictions have a well-established reputation for protecting client funds. These nations consist of Belize, Nevis, and the Cook Islands. The first has the longest and most robust history of trust case law, and the first two have the best reputations for integrity. You have the authority to administer trust assets and sign documents for accounts. The trustee can then act as a go-between for you and the courts when the bad thing occurs. In addition, the trustee of the trust acts as the LLC's manager, meaning that when the scheming lawyer on the other side of the table tries to pilfer your hard-earned investments, you can smile calmly inside, knowing that your accounts are securely hidden out of his reach. These jurisdictions' GDPs are largely derived from the financial services sector. Particularly in this day and age, they would be reduced to a pile of sand in the ocean with a few straggling palms, and the internet would be filled with tales if they did not conduct themselves with the utmost honesty. Additionally, an insurance company has bonded and insured each trustee. Based on experience, our organization has established trusts for 25 years and has never witnessed a trustee in the Cook Islands behave dishonestly or without honor, nor have they embezzled a client's funds. When your firm and personal finances are starting modest and expanding, you should consider asset protection techniques. It would be especially prudent for you to take immediate action if you have already passed this threshold. Make sure you work with any top-notch, knowledgeable specialist prepared to develop an asset security plan that works for your specific requirements. Adopting a well-thought-out asset protection plan in advance is significantly preferable. A small amount of preparation today can have a significant impact on your future. By reaching out to a group of reliable experts, talking through your goals, and routinely assessing your program, you may create a wealth management plan that will protect you from unforeseen threats. A program will be available to you that will boost your confidence in your financial future. Stay tuned for more information.